Welcome to Built-In Boots, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes at the DDS companies, where we're laying the foundation for tomorrow's infrastructure. Join us as we explore the real stories of the people who make it all happen, uncover the lessons they've learned, and show you how to build a rewarding career in the utility construction industry. If you're ready to learn from those who built their success from the ground up, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Built-In Boots podcast. I'm Jordan.
Mark.
And on today, we're talking about fill in the gap, how training can help you succeed with your career.
We had a chance to sit down with Jeremy Wyatt from Miller Pipeline, and Jeremy and I met at the Dirt World Summit, and it was awesome to meet him. I had a chance to travel to Indiana and Indianapolis to their headquarters and spend some time with them there. And he actually joined us for the Leadership Summit. And it kind of shows this whole idea of Artera and all these companies. We're all trying to do the same stuff.
Yeah.
And this is how we can move forward faster. We collaborate together. We start to work together. Rising tide raises all ships, right?
Yeah, love it. Well, without further ado, let's just hop right in.
I'm Mark Payne. I'm back with the DDS Built-In Boots podcast, and I am joined today by a friend from somewhere else. I want to kind of put some mystery into this, and then I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself. Go for it.
Oh, that's the handoff.
That's it. That's
all right,
the
yeah,
handoff.
very good. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you're on.
No, my name is Jeremy Wyatt, sitting here at the DDS headquarters, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So I'm the Director of Quality and Training for Miller Pipeline, based out of Indianapolis. And, it's a pleasure to be here, man. Appreciate the invite. Yeah, I'm excited. So.
Yeah, I am too. I'm so excited to have you here. You're here kind of checking out some things with us, and I wanted your 2 cents on a few things. So this is
about all it is, too. 2 cents. That's about all I got.
No, come on now. Tell me a little bit about your role with Miller. Tell me a little bit about Miller Pipeline for those that may not know.
Yeah, sure. So Miller Pipeline, I mean, we've been around, I want to say a little over 70 years. Started, Don W. Miller founded it in Green Springs, Ohio, small little town, just distribution contractor, natural gas. And they've just kind of, he founded it on what I think most of us kind of believe in, right? Just quality, customer satisfaction. Safety's always been there. Maybe it wasn't branded that way, but just doing the right thing. And since then, it's grown. I mean, we're in over 22 states now. I think we're around 5,000 employees. Like sometimes it's kind of crazy to stop and think, man, we're pretty big.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty large.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to kind of think about from where it started to where it is today, right? So yeah, I've been there. I've been fortunate to be there this is my 21st year, or in my 21st year.
Okay.
Started as a laborer.
Yeah.
Louisville, Kentucky, just working in the ditch. Been very fortunate, very blessed, had a lot of opportunities, kind of just worked my way up. Went out east, Pennsylvania, kind of Virginia area there on the safety side. Did some training, did safety and quality, was kind of safety manager for that region for a number of years, and before stepping into the quality role out of corporate, and eventually worked into Director of Quality and Training now. So
yeah, that's wild. That's quite a pathway, right?
Yeah, I would not. If you'd asked me when I first started, as a laborer, if I would, no way that I see that unfolding, happening like it was. I barely knew pipe was around at that point, right? But,
right.
But yeah.
So what does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so like I said, oversee quality training and damage prevention too, kind of rolls up under me. So it's a lot of different things. It's projects, right? Like we're always trying to look and see how we can invest in our people. What are some ways we can, where are some gaps? How are we going to train people better, employee development, that sort of thing. From the quality side, trying to get ahead of things, but I hate to say it, a lot of times it's reaction, right? It's when something goes wrong, we investigate it, root cause it. What did we do wrong? How can we fix it? What's a good corrective measure? Damages, that's a lot of reaction too. Again, trying to get ahead of it. And I think training, if we train right, we get ahead of the quality and the damage stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
but there's still things happen, and so the damage is it's similar. It's like, okay, so what broke down? Is it a policy gap? Is it a procedural issue? Is it just did we just not do what we were supposed to do? You know, I mean, because sometimes guys get in the middle of it. They're just trying to get the work done and might make a mistake or whatnot. So we just try to figure out what went wrong and what we can do.
And it's a lot of work over a wide area.
Yeah.
When you look at DDS itself over, across New York State and then out into Boston and down into Pennsylvania and a couple of different areas, it's kind of interesting to think about something that goes from coast to coast.
Yeah.
Right. And how that has grown over the years.
Yeah, well, you see it like what you just said, right? The one-call laws are a little different state to state.
Right.
Customer requirements a little different, customer to customer, maybe same customer, different state. There can be some nuance there, right? Some tweaks. So yeah, you're kind of balancing all those, and I mean, fortunately, we have a lot of great people. Well, the same as DDS, what I've been able to see and the ones I've been able to interact with, just great people and just doing some really good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. You've been in this role for quite some time.
Yep.
I came into it kind of later on. 21, I came in as a training coordinator and then director of training almost a year ago.
Okay.
Right. And we never really crossed paths until one certain event, right?
Yeah, it was Dirt World, right? Like the first
Summit.
Dirt World Summit. Yeah.
Yeah. So
with
Jocko, right?
Yeah.
And the whole team from BuildWit. So it was kind of cool that both of our companies felt like it was worth the investment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was worth it to send a team out and to check it out and see what it was going to turn into. And really happy that it worked out for us.
Yeah, me too. It's I think the conference was good, but yeah, one of the highlights of that honestly was interacting with you and Jordan and Brian and Mike and just being able to meet you guys. And yeah, I mean, because we're in the same industry, we're under the same umbrella or platform or whatever you want to call it there. So to be able to kind of start that relationship, I think was good.
I think so. And since then, that event sparked so much. Not only did it end up with a trip out to see you folks,
right.
And in Indianapolis, I mean, that was amazing to meet some of the foremen that you were training that week.
Yeah.
Great group of people, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome to meet them. And again, it really drove home that whole thing of being nationwide. I met people from Baltimore, I met people from Colorado, and all points in between, right?
Yep.
And that was huge. So.
And they love visitors too. Like they're coming in. Some of them it's the first time they've been to Indianapolis to our corporate headquarters, if you will. Mm-hmm. Some of them it's the first time. Some of them have left their home states,
right?
And stuff. So that's kind of interesting. They all have cool stories, but I think they enjoy when other people are there as well. Just like obviously they get to meet us that kind of lead that and present at it. But you being there from DDS, right? I mean, I'm sure you got tons of questions, and
I did.
And they just soak that in. They love that, and it's good for them to see different. Like Artera is this big thing, right?
Right.
They hear about, and to meet people from other companies, I think just kind of helps bring that down a notch, if you will, and I think they enjoy that, and I think it's good. So.
Yeah, I think so. And when I first started, that was pretty fresh for DDS and Feeney.
Oh yeah, right.
That group, and it was kind of like the big corporate monster,
Sure.
And everybody had all these images in their mind, and it really has not been like that at all.
No, I agree.
And everybody that I've met there from that group has always been upfront, honest, great folks. Nice to talk to, nice to chat with. And
I'd have to echo that too.
Yeah, and I think that we're really lucky in that regard.
Sure.
They see what we're doing, they respect what we're doing, and actually they've been trying to bring us together as well.
Yeah.
And I think that our time at the Dirt World Summit and then us working together a little bit on a few things, that has sped that along quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, for sure.
I think that the training group or all the different training managers that are under that platform coming together and trying to get on a call together, we're all going a million miles an hour, and it sometimes is challenging.
That call's been moved a few times, hasn't it? Yeah.
It has, but it was really great to have that, and be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that having us all work together, we're all trying to get further faster.
Yeah.
And that's really what this is about.
It is, and I mean the end goal, right? Like I think with you and I mean I don't want to speak for you, but I think this probably holds true, is we want our people to be well trained because we want to make sure the infrastructure we're putting in is done right. You know, I mean, you can't have good safety in our industry with poor quality. It just doesn't work, right? It's natural gas. I think that's a goal that we can all get behind and want. We want them well trained because it's safe for the employee as well. You know what I mean? And it's good for our industry. So I think that it's natural for us to kind of share some of those best practices and what's working and what's not. And because it is, at the end of the day, you know, that was that the rising tide raises all boats kind of theory there. I mean, I think that's true, especially in what we're doing, you know, in our disciplines or in our lanes or whatnot. So.
I think it is. I think you're absolutely right. And, you know, you hit the nail right on the head. We're all trying to work together to put that workforce together and have them safe.
Yep.
We want them to be able to go out and do quality work. And bottom line, at the end of the day, we're accountable for that. Mm-hmm. We're out there. We know that we're GPS infusions. We know that we're putting fuser numbers on them. We're doing, you know, inspector numbers on them. We know where those things are in the ground.
Yeah.
And our customers know that those things are in the ground.
For sure.
And so, of course, you know, you want to do a quality job. Nobody wants to go back and do rework.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it, and frankly, it's not safe.
No, not at all. Right. Yeah.
So it definitely is important. With the training side of it, and I think that you can echo this as well, that the folks that we're bringing in, they sometimes need some training on like those basic skills,
sure.
right? They got to start someplace. They start right out from that baseline, and it's up to us to try to help them along, move them along. It's up to us to also work with like the foreman and their leadership as well, right?
Yeah.
And try to get everybody brought up the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when you look at issues we're facing and things that we see, I mean, it all goes back to leadership, and that's not a new statement. I mean, we've heard that.
Right.
Heard it at the Dirt World. We've heard it probably. You can listen to any leadership podcast, they'll say that, right, or whatnot. But it's so true. You know, we take guys and gals that know how to do the job, right? They know how to do the work. Man, they're just crushing it. And then we're like, hey, we're going to put you in charge of 3 other people, and you're going to have to enter time, and you're going to have to do the paperwork, and you're going to have to do all this. Go.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And then, at least it used to be, I think we've gotten better, but, you know, when they didn't succeed or when we burn them out because they were doing everything because they hadn't learned yet how to work through others, right? How to accomplish work through other people. It's like, what, you know, we just couldn't figure it out, right? We're like, well, what's going on? What's that all about, you know? And it wasn't, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, a lot of us, that's the only training we ever had, so that's what we knew. And I think as an industry, we're starting to take a step back and realize, like, hey, we need to invest in folks. You know, they're good at running the service. They're great at putting pipe in the ground. We've got to help them understand how to lead 3 people. And then eventually, hopefully, we can get them where, hey, you're going to lead 4 crews, right? You know, or 5, and you know, and keep the customer happy, and do this, and do, you know, and I think we're there, right? We recognize that now. We're building the infrastructure, if you will,
right,
to support those folks and get them ready to do that. So.
And I feel like, you know, that's happening across the board, across the entire platform.
Yeah,
right.
I would say.
And I think that as we come together as training managers for these different areas, I think that we're going to eventually land with something that meets our brand, and it also takes care of our core values, and it elevates those other skills.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And gains a lot of alignment across the board.
And we're fortunate, and I think being here, I've seen it with your leadership team. I mean, they're obviously bought in. You know, what I saw today was awesome to have them in the room and speaking to people and just really on board. I mean, we're sitting next to the training trailer here. You know, I mean, that's a huge investment, and it's incredible. So, I mean, that shows that investment as well. And I mean, and you know, I can't say enough about the leadership team at Miller and the investment they're putting into the same thing. Let's teach our people, let's train our people, let's invest in them. Plus, people just feel better, right? I mean, when you go to work, the support system there wants to make you better,
right?
Like, I mean, that's positive,
huge.
Right? Yeah,
that's
what
definitely
people want. That, I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that while I was at Miller, I noticed the same thing from your leadership team. Your leadership team is on board. They're there. They're present. They're working with those classes. They're coming in. They're doing their part. And, you know, I witnessed some really cool stuff when I was out there for your class. Things that a little old DDS at this point might not be there yet, but definitely things to think about as we try to meet these growth goals and things like that. But it's very interesting to see. And what really struck me when I went to Miller Pipeline is the leaders were in there. They were in there in the morning. You had different folks from the business itself, you know, all the back office stuff, coming in for lunch. Yeah, and they were very deliberate about meeting with the guys. That was another page out of your book that I may have borrowed.
No, good, man. It's good. Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun with that. Last week especially, I had folks from the back office coming to me and saying, hey, I've talked to this person before, but I never knew what they looked like. I've never met them. And you gave us the opportunity to actually meet this person.
Think about that for a minute. Like how far that, like obviously that made an impression on. Like they sought you out to tell you that,
right?
You know, and just a face to face with somebody they've talked to on the phone, however many times, and what that just did for probably both of them.
Right.
You know, in that relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty minor. Really, you know, I mean, like, and it was over lunch, so I mean that was even better. But it's still, it's not this huge thing. It's just bringing people together. Yeah, it's not hard. It's just bringing people together. It's just being deliberate or intentional about it.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, you've got to be intentional for sure.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it was really evident to me, especially in your training room. You know, you're very intentional about the core values. Those are posted on the wall, and the presentations all pointed to the core values.
Yeah.
And that part left a definite mark with me. I felt like that was so key to, especially the development of that foreman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, you can point back to those core values every single time for everything.
I mean, if you use those as your guiding principle, right? Like if you have decisions to make and you're following those, 99 times out of 100, it's going to be going to be fine. Right, and I mean, in the one or two cases where maybe it wasn't the best decision, again, if you're laying out, well, man, based on these four, this is what I thought was the best thing. We're going to figure that out. Right. You know, we're going to be all right there. So, yeah, I'm glad you saw that, and I'm glad it kind of rang through, because when we speak with people that come in, as we sit down with people that are going to be presenting. We'll go through their presentations. You know, we're starting to do that a little more. That is like, hey, how does it fit? Those four, right? Like, how's it tie into those values, and what do you want them to leave with? Like, what is the impact? Like, how does it affect this foreman? What should they leave with when they walk out here? Because if we're just pushing information to push it,
right?
I mean, what are we doing, right? I can send that in an email, you know, and they'll probably retain about as much, honestly. So, we want to be intentional about what we're relaying to them and what they need to walk away with, and if we're doing it right, should always point back to those core values. Right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that you, with what you've got set up so far, I think that everything points back. It lines up so well.
Appreciate that.
It really does ring true. And, you know, there's no doubt when they leave there, they should be filled with a sense of pride. They should have a better understanding so that Monday morning when they go back to their crew, they're more prepared than they ever have been to lead them.
Yeah, I hope so.
And you know, I think that's really important. But I gotta tell you, some of the fun stuff, some of the fun activities and stuff like that. It was amazing to watch 20 foremen try to figure out how to walk on squares of paper and get from one side of the room to the other. You know, the traffic jam activity was a lot of fun, and these guys are working hard.
That's one of the best things about it. Yeah.
Right? They are trying to figure this thing out.
They are getting after it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And even some of the other ones. One of the ones, it was the whole hog.
Yes. Yeah,
right? The whole hog. A group of people that have known each other for maybe 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, by that time probably.
What is that, like
most.
Wednesday?
I think generally that would be Wednesday. Yeah.
So 3 days, 2.5 days.
2.5. Yeah.
Let's go there. And they are in fierce competition to see who can tear apart a whole hog and put it back together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who can tear that missile apart and get it back together the best way possible. And it's so funny to watch that group. And the group forms up, and yeah, they get tight by the end of the week.
It is. It's pretty. That's one of the coolest things is to watch how they come together, and by the end of the week, they truly are friends. And I think a lot of those relationships. I mean, I talk to guys now that went through back when, like, the first, maybe not the first one, but say 8 years ago, and they still, I mean, not every day, but they still text each other, they still talk, which is pretty cool. In the games, I mean, I'd love to sit here and take credit for that, but we have a great facilitator who's been doing this a long time, and he's got all sorts of games and just little sayings and phrases and stories, and stuff, which makes it good. And Dale Anderson, our president, when he came on board, I can't remember how long ago now, but this was his baby, honestly, was our Foreman Leadership. He really set the groundwork for that, really got it going, and I'm just blessed and grateful that he's allowed me over the last year to sort of step in and really start kind of, I guess, shaping it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if that's the right phrase, but just kind of help it, take it over, if you will, lead it and start putting my own stamp on it a little bit with the influence of all the leadership there at Miller Pipeline. I don't want to act like it's mine or something like that, but I'm just very, very grateful and very blessed to have the opportunity to kind of help steer that thing. So
and it's a great program, like I said, and I think that they've done a really nice job building that and moving that forward. Your facilitator does a great job as well.
Yeah, he's good.
And it's fun to see some of the things. And at first, like the very first part of the week when he talks about how to remember how to talk to people, the conversation stack.
Yes, he's big on the stacks.
He's big on the stack. But at first, when I'm watching the guys from the back of the room, they're closing their eyes and they're following this story that he's putting out there, and I'm looking at them, and they've got this look on their face like, what is this guy doing? What is he talking about? How is this going to tie to anything?
Sure.
But I'll tell you what, after sitting in the back of the room and listening to that, I really had to check myself and think through, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Do I follow this? No, I don't. What am I doing? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was really good to see some of that stuff. And honestly, sitting in that Foreman Leadership training at your place, I feel like I took stuff away, not only to bring back to use here, but also to use in my own life.
Just yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I pop in different sessions, throughout, because I try to make as many of them as I can when we have it. There's stuff that I didn't know or just kind of new light or whatever. So that's always pretty cool. And I kind of wanted to go back too, because you talked about ours and the core values and stuff like that, and I would just echo that with what you're doing here. I mean, the core values, the mission, the vision, all that just being on the wall and everything that I heard that you guys were talking about. I mean, it drove right back at that and how that affects everything you do and that's your base, right? Your foundation.
Right.
And I thought that the whole team did a fantastic job today of just laying that out. You know what I mean? Like, this is who we are, right? This is where we want to be. Right. And following this is how we're going to get there. There's things we got to figure out, right? But if we stick to this, this will take care of itself. We'll get there. That was really cool to hear and be able to sit through, and I just thought they did a fantastic. You and the rest of your team did a fantastic job of just putting that message out. You know what I mean? Right. So it was really cool to sit back and be able to hear the team, and then hear there was some pretty good back and forth today too. I thought, you know what I mean? So, and that's always good. A friend of mine said, if you're the only one talking, nobody else is really learning. I always enjoy when the participants get involved and have feedback and questions and stuff like that. I think that's a good sign. So,
yeah, I think so, and I feel that it's nice to have that grounding right off the bat. I feel like by having this the way that we have it, by talking about mission, vision, values, those sorts of things, that's just so important to get us to where we can build on it and build that foundation, right? For us, I felt like when I first started, I wished I would have known more of that. Like it wasn't the forefront, right?
I got
it was a part of it, but it was a very small part of me coming on board and things like that.
Okay.
So for me, I was kind of selfish when I started working on this project, and I really I wanted to answer a lot of questions for me. And I was trying to answer those questions because, well, I'm one of those guys that's driven by the why.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's because I spent too long at the college. Maybe I just, those 18-year-olds got to me eventually because I had to explain why for everything.
Sure.
I was so used to it that I started to kind of operate like that, right?
Well, I mean, that Simon Sinek's made a career out of start with why, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
He's got a book and he's good. So
he's good.
But yeah, I mean, there's a reason that's important. So
yeah, so
I don't think it's a bad place to start.
Right. Well, coming at it like that, I wanted to make sure that we knew the whys.
Yeah.
Why are we doing it like this? Why have this? Why have that? Why? You can ask why all day long.
Yeah.
But again, having this set up, it was having the summit and having everybody in has been huge. And I think that I heard a lot of positive comments and, a lot of senior guys that have been here since very early in the company, last week especially, had quite a lot to say with it. The first day, I don't know if they were sold, but by the end of it, I think that they felt a lot better about what we were doing. I think that it was one of those things that we built up to it, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man.
Right,
yeah,
I'm excited to see how this is all going to turn out. I'm excited to see the dividends on the other end.
Sure.
And for me personally, I'm excited to see this through. I want to see what we build next.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the next iteration of this is for you guys. I think you're going to do some pretty awesome things with it. So
going forward, as we grow, this model probably won't go away. This will still be something that a new foreman will eventually end up going through, so that they get that background and they get all those pieces. But I think that the next iteration has some different skills in it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah,
we can get into some more of the nuts and bolts and get our hands dirty.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see where you take it. I think it's going to be really good.
With everything that's went on at Miller, right? How many times did you do or have you guys had your foreman leadership training?
Oh man,
I wanted to bring that out. That was one part that I wanted to talk about. I think
at least 12 years.
Right.
And, and we average, say, 10 classes a year. Sometimes it's 11. We never do one in February, and then it seems like December can be a little tricky.
Dicey,
sometimes that one will get canceled. So I want to say somebody might check my math, and I'll be way off. But for some reason, I think we're in like 160 something, I think, because they always put a number to it, right? But yeah, so it's a lot. It's been a lot.
It's been a lot. Yeah. And I was really grateful to be able to come out and pick your brain and see how the pros do it, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't know about you. That's you saying that. That's not me.
No, so. I wanted to see it and see how it affected and how it worked, and I was really happy to have that opportunity.
No, man, I'm glad you could make it. We like anytime early, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I was happy that you were able to join us up here.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think that when you got on the plane that you thought to yourself, I'm going to do a podcast while I'm in New York. That probably was not in the forefront of your mind.
That did not enter my thoughts at all, actually. Yeah, I did not know. You never know, I guess, right?
Right.
You just got to be ready, be flexible.
And I wasn't 100% sure that I was doing a podcast tonight either, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
But no, it worked out. Everything worked out, and I'm hoping that we can do a lot more of these.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited to see where you guys take this too. I think this is a pretty cool thing. So I'm expecting big things for the Built-in Boots podcast out there.
The Built-in Boots podcast,
I get a fair amount of windshield time, so maybe you guys will give me some good stuff to listen to.
Hey, there we go. We're going to try.
All right.
We're going to get out there, and we're going to find those stories, and I might show up on somebody's job site. You never know.
That's all right, man. I think it's going to be good.
Pull them aside for a few minutes and say, hey, what's up?
Let's share those stories, right? This is a great industry. You guys are a great company, and those things need to be out there. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, Jeremy, I wanted to thank you for being on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate the time. It was great to catch up and kind of talk through a few things.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about Miller. We talked a little bit about DDS and foreman training and stuff like that. I think this is going in a great direction.
Yeah, man. This is fun.
Yeah, well, thanks again, and tune in for the next Built-in Boots podcast. We'll be out there looking for those stories. Have a good one. Thank you.